my grandmother, she recently passed away, and she lived in Jordan.
Okay.
And you know, she grew up a Muslim, and that's all she ever knew. And so I guess you can make a more extreme case, is be like a kid in the Middle East, he grows up, let's say, in ISIS. It's like, how can you expect these people to convert to Christianity when that's all they grew up with?
Right. Yeah, that's a hard question. It's actually a moral question though, right?
What it's saying is that there's a moral deficiency in God if He doesn't somehow save people who are in other cultures who either never hear about Him or didn't have the opportunity to hear about Him, right? Now, the biblical answer to this is not as completely clear as we'd like it to be. We know that nobody is saved except through Christ, because He is the only perfect sacrifice. None of us can make it to God on our own. We've all fallen short. We've all committed sin. So if God is infinitely just, He can't allow us to go unpunished. Otherwise, He wouldn't be infinitely just. So what does He do? He finds a perfect substitute, Himself, to take our punishment on Himself. Now you say, what about the people who never hear about this? Well, in the Old Testament, nobody knew the name of Jesus, but many people were saved by trusting in Yahweh, trusting in the God of the Old Testament. And they could get some knowledge about Yahweh and God from natural revelation. They got some of it, of course, from the Old Testament scriptures as well. Today, it seems, if you read the New Testament, it appears that you need to know the name of Jesus in order to be saved. Is it possible that people could still be saved like they were in the Old Testament? They just cry out to God? Yeah, that's possible. But since it seems that the New Testament is saying you need to know the name, I'm going to risk all to get people the gospel, right? Now, it's possible, first of all, we know that a lot of people hear the gospel and they don't believe, correct?
Yeah.
It could be that people who never hear the gospel wouldn't have believed it anyway. That's certainly possible, right?
Sure.
In fact, there's a passage in Acts chapter 17 when Paul is on Mars Hill and he says to the Athenians there, he says, God has appointed the times and places where people should live so that some will find Him, though He's not far from all of us. It appears that God could have prearranged events to such a degree that people who want to be saved will hear the gospel, and those that never hear the gospel wouldn't have been saved. Now, this is just a possibility. I don't know if this is the truth or not, okay? I know that there are people in some Muslim countries, because I've heard testimony after testimony of this, that those who are truly seeking God will experience a dream or a vision of Jesus and ultimately come to faith. I don't know about your grandmother. I don't know if she did do that. I don't know what happened with her. But God is just, and He wants people to be saved more than we do, right? He's more loving than we are. So I rest in the love of God. But what I do know for sure is I do know that people are saved by trusting in Jesus, so I risk all to get them the gospel.